This is Your Superior Self, episode 54, The Value of a Mentor, with real estate coach Zach Beach.
We all sit on a fence, whether we're depressed or on drugs or just trying to make a decision. We all sit on this fence until we're pushed to do so. So I want to tell you, don't wait for that oh shit moment. It's if you're sitting on that fence, just make the decision to move forward, and then don't overwhelm yourself. Just know that you're looking for just the next step. So keep things super simple. We all tend to get really overwhelmed when we have these big, hairy, audacious goals, but we don't break them down. So if it's something and we can relate to you being, down and out, but you can relate this to anything. It's just make a freaking decision. And then once you make that decision, just look for the next baby step and look for the next baby step, look for the next baby step. And then just know that you're going to be in a hell of a lot better of a place when you look up, say, a year from now, a year and a half from now, 2 years from now. Just know that first and foremost, the decision just needs to be made. So all you got to do is just be strong enough internally to make that decision first.
What is going on, Superior Nation? Welcome back to your favorite podcast, Your Superior Self, the podcast that breathes inspiration into your body to help build the motivation you need to change your life. I am Trey Downs, your host, blue-collar worker turned into blue-collar entrepreneur, and I am excited to have my buddy Zach Beach on the show today. He is a coach in real estate investing and expert in buying and selling on terms. We have a great and powerful interview for you today, and I'm excited to get after it. But before I dive into the interview, like always, I want to read from the book, Your Best Life Now, 7 Steps to Living at Your Full Potential by Joel Osteen. And in the book, he talks about a story called A Rescuing Hug. It goes like this. I heard an amazing story about a set of twins who were just a few days old. One of them had been born with a serious heart condition and wasn't expected to live. A few days went by and one of the baby's health continued to deteriorate. She was close to death. A hospital nurse asked if she could go against hospital policy and put the babies in the same incubator together rather than in individual incubators. It was a big ordeal, but finally the doctor consented to allow the twins to be placed side by side in the same incubator, just as they had been in their mother's womb. Somehow, the healthy baby managed to reach over and put her arm around the little sick sister. Before long, and for no apparent reason, her heart began to stabilize and heal. Her blood pressure came up to normal. Her temperature soon followed suit. Little by little, she got better, and today they are both perfectly healthy children. A newspaper caught wind of the story and photographed the twins while sitting in the incubator, embraced in a hug. They ran the photo with the caption, "The Rescuing Hug." The reason why I chose to read this particular story is to help you guys realize that we all need others to help us succeed. There have been many times and many examples in my life where I was down and out and I could not see my next move. And in these moments, there's always been someone to help me get back on track. Like the baby in the story, we sometimes can get separated from our support systems and begin to deteriorate. It's not until we reconnect with our mentors or family members that we gain our strength. This is the reason why I believe so strongly in finding the right mentor for you, because your mentor can help you reconnect with your mission and help support you on your journey to success. And to help me talk a little bit more in depth of mentorship and coaching, I have Zach Beach joining the show today. He is a part of the Smart Real Estate Coach family located in Newport, Rhode Island. At the age of 25, Zach decided to jump into the family real estate business. It was one of the first big risks of his life, as nothing is guaranteed. Plus, he knew absolutely nothing about real estate. Through hard work and in-house training and implementation, Zach has now completed over 100 deals, and that number continues to grow. I'm excited about our conversation. It is very powerful, and we get a little transparent in our stories about life. So I'm excited to have Zach on the show. But before we join that interview, I want to say thank you to you, the listener. Thank you for joining the show. Thank you for downloading this episode. If this is the very first episode that you're listening to, please hit the subscribe button. Please leave a rating and a review because it helps the show. You can check me out on Facebook at Trey Downs, DOWNES. You can also hit me up at the private Facebook group at Your Superior Self. Check me out on Instagram at TDowns80 and follow me on Twitter at DownsTrey. I'm excited about the interview like always, and I'm excited that you guys are here with me today. Thank you guys so much for listening, and without further ado, here is Zach Beach. Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Your Superior Self. Today, I am joined by Zach Beach. He has two loves in his life. That one is real estate, and the other is helping students and associates around the country reach financial freedom, and they enjoy the life of entrepreneurship. Zach, welcome to the show.
Hey Trey, thanks for having me. I couldn't have said it better. I love those two loves. That was. Thanks for the introduction. I very much appreciate it.
So Zach, why don't you go ahead and give everybody a deeper look into your life and what you're up to today?
Sure. So today, I like you said, I coach and consult people around the country on how to buy and sell real estate on terms, and we can certainly hit that. But primarily, it's actually myself, my father-in-law, my brother-in-law, and our fantastic support team. So it's a family business, and we teach people around the country how to buy and sell real estate on terms, which simply means we teach you how to buy without using your own cash, your own credit, or asking investors for money. Again, we can go over a couple different ways on how we do that. And then we also, on top of that, I still buy and sell property in our family personal buy and selling entity. So we're not just coaching it. We're actually doing it. We're in the trenches. And it's a fun time. It's fun watching this real estate market unfold right now, and just getting after it.
Love it. So for those of you who don't know, and I'm probably pretty sure most of you don't, Zach's father-in-law is Chris Prefontaine. He was on the podcast earlier in this season. I can't remember what episode that is, but go back and check that out. They both crush real estate, and I'm very happy that Zach came on to kind of give us the 101 on real estate. So Zach, tell us, what is it that we need to know about real estate? Like, what is the basics? Like, if I'm brand new at investing in real estate and trying to make a deal, like, what do I need to know as an early investor?
Yeah. So again, it's going to depend on whatever niche you choose. I highly recommend, I mean, I don't think there's a perfect niche for any single person, meaning like, whatever you're attracted to, then you can certainly take over that niche. But each and every niche are going to have some key factors, right? You got to be really good at scripts and being able to talk with sellers and buyers. I mean, we talk about real estate as being like a hard product, but really it's people, it's a relationship. So you got to have people skills. You also got to be good at deal structuring. So once you understand the finances of a property, you get and not even just the finance of the property, but understand what your seller's motivation is or your buyer's motivation is, and be able to craft up all of that, take all the pieces and kind of put them together in a puzzle, and be able to deal structure. And then of course, I mean, just like anything else, you got to know how to present yourself. You got to know how to market. So those are just some key factors. If you want me to go like deeper into my niche, I can certainly do so, but just kind of looking at it from a beginner entrepreneur, those are some factors that I would definitely want people to learn.
Sure. So go ahead and give us a closer look at what you do every day as far as your niche.
Yeah, so we buy and sell on terms, primarily through lease purchases, or I'm sure you've heard of lease options, owner financing. So having the seller be the bank instead of us going to the bank, we craft up these deals and have the seller be the bank. And subject to deals, which meaning that we're closing on the property still. These houses typically don't have much equity in them. They could, but they typically don't. And we close on the property. The mortgage stays in the seller's name, but the title transfers to us. So those would be the three main ways that we buy and sell property.
How did you get into real estate?
Yeah, so I was telling you this off air. So I was a bartender coming out of college, and I was a bartender because I had no idea what the heck I wanted to do. I just knew that I wasn't going to go like work in like a corporate world. It wasn't my fit. I'm a terrible employee. So so I just decided, hey, I'll bartend. This is fun. I live in Southern Rhode Island in a tourist-driven town. It's Newport, Rhode Island, and it's a heck of a lot of fun. So I started doing that, and then eventually, that's when I was like 21, 22, and then eventually, by the time I was like 25, I was really worn out because not only was I bartending, but I was also personal training. So I was serving drinks all night, and then I'd wake up in the morning and help them work off those drinks. As you can imagine, I didn't get much sleep, so I tended to get tired pretty fast and got burnt out. So I noticed that my father-in-law was building this real estate company. He's been in real estate for over 25 years, so we took on this new niche. He was building this company, and I said, hey, I'm going to lead bartending. I'd be interested in kind of seeing what you got going on. I had no idea if I was going to like it or not. I just knew it was better than what I was doing. So I kind of made the leap in April of, it was a little less than 3 years ago. And then I just stuck with it and been in it ever since. So that's my short story.
So your father-in-law emailed me and was like, you have to have Zach on. He's an excellent leader for his age. I want to know, like, what makes you a good leader? Like, how are you such a good leader at such a young age?
Well, I'm glad that he said it. That's humbling. I appreciate that. I hope I'm a good leader for like any age. That's my ideal. I hope it's not just for being 28. But with that being said, I just think I've had some ups and downs in my life, so I'm super focused on like personal development, and I feel as though I'm very driven. So I think those two things kind of come into play because constantly working on yourself. So you're never, even for just talking monetary, you're never going to outgrow your own worth. So the only way that you can actually make more money is if you become a bigger person or if you grow in life. So I constantly am focusing on that, and that really makes me work on my inner self, which then projects to the outer world. And then just being ambitious and hardworking. I, as I was telling you offline, I come from a middle class family, single mother who is a cashier, and she's best mom in the world. But we didn't come from money. Loving family, but didn't come from money. So we were always taught to just work hard. Nobody really went to college in my side of the family, on my dad's side of the family. So I think I was the only one besides one of my cousins. So it was just more or less work hard and then grind it out in a blue collar field. But I decided to kind of make that change in my life and make that leap. So that was just pure will and driven. And I think that just, if as long as you do what you say you're going to do, which is huge, then people will follow you.
I think, we can relate to each other because we're both blue collar. Of course, I come from a very blue collar town in Delaware, and it seems like we always follow our parents' paths. Like we always tend to. I'm a locomotive engineer, and everybody in my town either works for the railroad or they do construction or they own their own business, and that essentially is it. There's nothing outside of that. But it seems like your story is very special because, like you're hustling, you're doing the bartending, the training stuff. You can have a blue collar background, and then you go to your father-in-law, who is like your mentor, and now he's helped you along the way, step by step, small steps, and now you're seeing the success. I think what the blue collar, I guess, class is missing is that mentor. Like, talk to us about how important having a mentor is.
Oh my God, it's so important. It's not even like you don't even nowadays, the access to mentors is so large because if you can't say afford a mentor, so if you can't pay a mentor, then there's YouTubes now. There's just so much digital information out there. There's so many great books. My story is almost like the rich dad, poor dad. Like my dad, was very blue collar. Actually, we come from a farming background up in. So my great grandfather was a pig farmer. So right off the boat from Portugal. So like that side of my family is the beach side of the family is very down to earth blue collar type workers, and then I was able to marry into, and I've known my wife since I was 12 years old, so I've known her family forever. But I was like married into the rich dad side of the family. So, and I don't even say it just because of the monetary thing. I'm talking about like there's a huge difference between like how people that don't have a lot of money study or approach life as far as personal growth, and then people that eventually end up making a lot of money study and have personal growth. Because it, like I stated at the beginning, it's really you have to grow in order to kind of increase that. So just just having that falling into that mentor or attracting the mentor that you need at that time is just so important. So the reason why I say that is uh, the only way that you can almost fall a path sometime is by kind of putting the blinders on and looking for somebody who's done it, because there's that huge gap between like knowing and then believing. So it's easier to be able to believe once you can see somebody else do it, and then you say, "Hey, well, they're another human. Like I can do that because I just watched them do it." Compared to, you know, I'm reading, I have this belief that I may be able to do it, but I don't have that visual aspect yet. So a mentor will 100% do that. Plus, it'll do a facet of other things like keep you on track and keep you accountable. But that's my main thought when it comes to a mentor.
I know that YouTube is a great resource for myself. I know I tend to research a ton of different areas in my life that I'm not 100% about. Also, mentorship is something that I'm passionate about, and I really want to get into that. I'm researching now to try to give my time back to the community and volunteer my time to help someone out. But I mean, like, we believe whatever stories we tell each other, like ourselves. So when we're out there and we have these limiting beliefs that we can't do something, like, that's us just talking to us. Like, a mentor will look at it from the outside and be able to like pump you up, like be able to show you the way, like maybe not the way, but give you stepping stones. And going with that, like, what is there anything in particular, like advice that your father-in-law has given you that has just been out of this world?
That's a great question. I don't want to say that he's given me some particular words. What what he's done is he's shown me the right actions. He's definitely a man that you know walks the walk and talks the talk. So everything he says, he actually does. So I take it for more of, because he's my son's grandfather now, that he's actually shown me more of like the father type side as well. So not only is, because we're a family driven business and we actually teach a lot of families. So it's all about, just saying just doing what you said you're going to do. And then continue to constantly do that. So I don't think there was like a particular thing that he told me. I think it's just a compound effect of actions that eventually led me to saying, hey, like, this is somebody I can follow.
As a father, what do you want to teach your son? Like, what's the biggest life lesson that you hope to get across to him?
Yeah, I always tell him this. I just say, you can be anything you want to be, my little man. Just it's so important that to have that ingrained, because when I was younger, like, it was all just kind of a facade. It was I never did great in school. My teachers always told me that I wasn't going to go to college. So the only reason I went to college is because they told me not to. They told me I couldn't. So I just want to ingrain like the opposite way. Because if he's anything like me growing up, he's going to be a little bit of a nutcase. So with that being said, I just want to let him know, like, it's just you can be anything you want to be, and treat your mother with respect. Those are the two things that I care about, because happy wife, happy life. So
I know that's right. Now, do you think you'll be in the real estate business just like you guys?
I mean, time will tell, right? Time will.
Is that what you're pulling for? Real estate, bringing them over that way?
I don't know. I mean, the cool thing is about having a family business is he's like in the office. So like when I'm working, he's like running around. He's just over one, so he's running around now. He's like picking up speed. So it's just cool that because I work long days, and we put in a lot of effort to help out our associates around the country build their businesses. So we're working some long days and doing weekends. So it's just nice to be able to include him, especially when we have like our events, like he's up on stage with me and stuff. It's a heck of a lot of fun. So no matter what he does, he's loud. So I'm gonna guess that he's probably gonna be a speaker like myself. So we'll see. Whatever he wants to do, I'm happy with. I'll support him.
That's awesome. So you go around the country and you teach about financial freedom. Like talk to us about that. What is financial freedom to you?
Sure. So just to kind of clarify, so we don't like do speaking tours or anything. What we do is a lot of our work is actually like over the computer, over the phone. So when I'm like working with people to build their business, it's like I'm making a lot of calls to their sellers, or I'm doing my weekly consulting calls with them, or I'm locking arms with them and helping them deal structure, and where we pair up together and we work this thing through. And then part of our other part of some of the associate levels is what we call them, associates. We actually fly out to their market and we like actually get in the trenches with them. So go on appointments, hit the phones, all those type of things. So not necessarily a national speaking, but then we have everyone come to us to Newport, Rhode Island for our events. But financial freedom, I just think financial freedom means like being able to do what you want to do when you want to do it. It doesn't necessarily, I don't think it has to be a certain number on it. It's really your lifestyle. So if you're somebody that really likes nice things, then being able to do what you want to do when you want to do it may be at a higher level. Like that may be like millions of dollars. But somebody that's pretty frugal or, enjoys the simple things in life, that could be, 100 grand a year, something like that. So I just think it's financial freedom. The number one thing is freedom. I think that's why we all do whatever we do. And the reason why we all want to be multimillionaires, billionaires is because we feel like that's some sort of freedom, whether that's freedom to help out people around the world, freedom to, have an extended reach, or freedom to travel, or, freedom to not have a boss. I think we all can define freedom differently, but I think financial is just a piece of being free.
I know growing up in the blue collar world, I never heard of that phrase, financial freedom. It was always go to work, work hard, and going back to your coaching, I always, in my mind, like I knew how to work hard for my money. I knew how to work hard for my money. I didn't know how to have my money work hard for me. And like in your type of investments and real estate, and I think that is what really threatens people, is because they just don't know. It's, you go buy a house or settle on a place, and it's a 50-page document that you have to sign, and you have to have a lawyer or whatever read it before you sign it, because you don't really know what's in it. I mean, it could be intimidating, right? I mean, how do you coach people that are beginners to feel comfortable about investing in real estate?
Sure. Yeah. So, the best thing, first and foremost, the best thing about like a blue collar worker though is you can get them into like real estate. I would say they can build their business so much more quickly. And again, that's with some bias, but because you already have the drive of, okay, well, I know how to work hard for my money. Now, if you can take that same type of energy and then leverage it, which is real estate, then you can grow a business significantly quicker. But you're never afraid to kind of get your hands dirty in the trenches. But when it comes to teaching people real estate documents, our documents aren't anything like obnoxious. We use lease purchase or short form agreements, which are essentially a net lease with an option to purchase the property. That's how we tie up a lot of these properties. Or we're using a purchase and sale agreement, which is probably like 5 to 10 pages. The thing is, if you do this enough, then you'll understand what's written in the documents. And then if you don't understand it, then you're going to be using an attorney anyways. So you might as well just kind of, chew on their ear and have them at least point out to you like what exactly this means. But all the agreements are there first and foremost, they're there to protect you. Because we're the ones that are going to be buying the properties on terms. So we want to protect us first and foremost. So that's why the agreements are there. And then when we sell our properties to our rent-to-own program, is typically how we do it. We then are then protecting ourselves again. So it's it's important that you know the documents, but it just takes some time. Like when I first did my first deal, I didn't know every single line on there, but that's also the important to, okay, well, this is why it's fantastic to have a mentor, because then when you sit down with the documents and you read through it and you're like, hey, I don't understand this, you can call your mentor. Or you're sitting at the buyer's table and you're talking with a seller and you're trying to get the seller to get this agreement signed. Okay, well, when the seller asks these questions, now your mentor can chime in on a three-way call and say, that's exactly what that means. So do you understand that? Okay, great. All right, so you can get some deals done a heck of a lot quicker when you get a mentor in your corner as well. So with that all being said, it's just time. It's like anything else. You learn a new skill.
What's one step that a person who's looking to invest in real estate should take right now that can get a step closer to being an investor?
Sure. So, I mean, I guess you just kind of tossed me up a softball there, but I would definitely recommend that you go take a look at our free, it's an hour webinar on smartrealestatecoach.com/webinar. I would definitely take a look at that. Plus, I can get you our Amazon best-selling book for free. I wanted to make sure that your audience got that. And that's a free book. I mean, like, I am not going to charge you for shipping or handling. All you got to do is plug in your information. We'll send you out a Amazon best-selling Amazon book, Real Estate on Your Terms. So I might as well just tell you this now. So you can get that at www.freesrecbook.com. So that's freesrecbook.com. Do that. You can hop on there. You get a book. It'll probably take you a couple of days to read. It's nothing obnoxious, but it's about our family and how we buy and sell on terms. So that's always a great start. And not only just to plug us, but I'm just saying in general, like find a mentor, find a niche you really want to be a part of, and then just start dabbling in it. Like just say, okay, well, I'm just going to watch a webinar tonight. I'm going to pick up a book. I'm going to read that. And then as soon as you start to get attracted to a niche or a person that you want to follow, then start digging in a little deeper and then start making your steps towards there. Because you got to start somewhere. You got to get the knowledge first, and then that's going to bring some belief, and then that's going to allow you to take action. And then the action is what's really going to create you into a real estate entrepreneur.
What's been a big failure in your life? And I hate saying the word failure, but like what has been either a failure or disappointment in your life that has led you to the biggest success?
Yeah, so we were talking about this earlier. So as I was growing up as a kid, I mean, I grew up in Worcester, Massachusetts. So it's not the best environment now to grow up in. I grew up in a small town right outside of it. But I did get hooked on drugs and stuff when I was like a young kid. I think I was using or addicted to drugs either from like age, like 12 or 14, somewhere in there, 12 to 14.
Really? That young?
Oh, yeah, it was normal. Right? Crazy now I think about it. My kid's one. I'm like, that's only 11 years.
Imagine your son 14
right?
doing that. Like, that's crazy.
Yep. So that was me. That till age about 20, let's say 21. I think seven years. Yeah. So about 21, 22. I was either addicted or using drugs. So that was a heck of a time. I went to like outpatient care, and then I was able to. I think that's what really propelled me, because I was like hitting the low of a low. I actually had multiple friends and family member pass away from using drugs. So that was a wake-up call as well. But that really propelled me into self-development and health in general. So I actually got into CrossFit because of that, because I needed to fill my time. So I ended up getting in good shape and I was healthy. And then that really then drove me to start looking into personal development, which I started with Bob Proctor. I still follow him, but I've been to many of his events. He's a phenomenal personal development teacher. So that's what started like my personal development journey, which then led me to, where I am now. So I would say it's a huge success.
Like, what was the turning point for you with the drugs? Like, was there like a bad high, or is it just like, what was the moment that you decided that you weren't doing that anymore?
Yeah. So it was actually, it was on Thanksgiving night or Thanksgiving Day, is when I kind of packed it in and told my mom. It's just, you just know when you know. It's just one of those things that it's just like, yeah, it's like one of those like, oh shit moments. Like I just don't want to wake up and do this again. So it's just one of those I had enough moments. I don't think it was anything particular. Like it wasn't like the time of day or the time of year, or I used more than I did before. It was just like, okay, I don't want to be like, if I look at my future, like I don't want to be still sitting here. So I've always had huge aspirations for myself as well. I've always had huge dreams and was always super ambitious. I was just using along the way. It wasn't like I was a kid that like you disappeared for years. No, I was still like doing everything normal functioning. I just knew that like it was time. So just made the decision. You got to draw the line in the sand somewhere. And it just happened to be that day that I just said, "Hey, this is it. I just had enough."
What drug are we talking about?
So opiates.
Mm.
Never did heroin or anything like that. I just up here was like pain pills. If you look at the national epidemic, it was like during the age that I grew up in. That's why I support. I don't know if you know who Chris Herron is. He was an ex Boston Celtics player, and he's actually lives in my town that I live in now. But he has a thing called the Purple Project, where they basically they bring education to schools and teach kids at the root about drugs and all that thing like that. Because as soon as you're using, then it's too far. So instead, if you can teach younger kids about it now in a very positive way, then you can make a huge difference. So I always support that Purple Project, which I think is doing some really good now. So this is all to tell you guys that anyone out there, if you're going through a low, like well, may not be drugs, but it could just be anything, right? Anything that puts you in a depressed state or a low energy state. You can always fight through it and get out of it, and you just take it one day at a time. And one day, you just wake up and you're light years away from where you used to be.
Have you ever spoken at the Purple Project or?
I have not. I actually haven't. I just support it with like our funds. It's just one day, definitely.
I think you should definitely get after it, man. I think you have a gift for it. I think you could speak to it and people can relate to your story.
Sure. Yeah. I'm 100% with it. And because you said it now, I feel like I have to do it.
No pressure.
No pressure given. I appreciate that. It just needs a little shove in the right direction.
So Zach, tell me, who has been, beside your father-in-law, who has been the biggest inspiration in your life?
I'm definitely inspired. I have two older brothers. They're 10 and 11 years older than me. I would say that they've been huge inspiration in my life. They're almost like both like father figures. So I would say that they've always guided me in the right direction. They've always shown support, and they both are completely different people. So I pick up like different things from each one of them. So they've been a huge inspiration. And of course, I'd have to say my mother, as being a single mother, and she's raised three kids, and I don't know how she does it, because I get tired running around my 1-year-old, and my wife does like 90% of the work. So she's an inspiration. My family is just an inspiration. They've been awesome, and I couldn't be the person I am today without their help.
Oh, so I'm going to get a little, deep here. If you can give your mom, because she's inspired you so much, if you can give her one gift, what would you give her?
I know that she wants to travel, so I'm not going to tell her this now, but I know she wants to travel. So I'm looking forward to, me and my wife are going to be doing some like European trips and things like that. I'm looking forward to bring her on those trips without any expense or anything like that. She can just come and enjoy herself.
Where has she gone anywhere? Has she traveled outside the States?
Nope. No, she has not.
Oh,
yeah. And I know she wants to. So one day I got a list of places I want to go, starting with Portugal. That's where I'm going to start in the European side. But
where does she want to go? Like what's her spot? Does she even have one?
She's pretty laid back and goes with the flow. But I mean, my great grandfather's from Italy. I bet you if I told her we were going to Italy, she'd be pretty excited.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So Zach, tell us how we can connect with you. if people want to reach out to you about your real estate coaching?
Yeah, I kind of gave away the two links earlier. I'm sure these will be thrown in the show notes. I think that's the best way to do it right now is to reach out, get our book, or start with our webinar. As I definitely want to make sure that you get as much free content and learn as much about our family as possible before you dive on in. But you can always, if you want to set up a strategy call, we do this quite often. Just email support@smartrealestatecoach.com. That's support@smartrealestatecoach.com. Let her know that her name's Lauren. Just let her know that you heard me on Trey's podcast and you'd love to chat for a couple minutes before you dove into any of our material, and I'd be happy to do so.
Awesome. Everybody get a hold of Zach. Let him know that you guys are interested in investing. So before we go, one last thing. Speak to me like I am the listener right now listening to this podcast. Let's say I'm going through a difficult time in my life. Let's say it could be drugs, it could be depression, it could be anything. I need help getting inspiration to pull myself out of that. Like, what would you say to me?
Yeah, I would. I think first and foremost, I would tell you that it's eventually going to be okay, but you have to first grow enough internally to say like, this is enough. I'm not going to be depressed. I'm not going to be hooked on anything. And then once you've decided, so really we all sit on a fence, whether we're depressed or on drugs or just trying to make a decision, we all sit on this fence until we're pushed to do so. So I want to tell you, don't wait for that like, oh shit moment. If you're sitting on that fence, just make the decision to move forward and then don't overwhelm yourself. Just know that you're looking for just the next step. So keep things super simple. We all tend to get really overwhelmed when we have these big, hairy, audacious goals, but we don't break them down. So if it's something like, and we can relate to you being, down and out, but you can relate this to anything. It's just make a freaking decision. And then once you make that decision, just look for the next baby step and look for the next baby step, look for the next baby step. And then just know that you're going to be in a hell of a lot better of a place when you look up, say, a year from now, a year and a half from now, 2 years from now. Just know that first and foremost, the decision just needs to be made. So all you got to do is just be strong enough internally to make that decision first.
Powerful. That's awesome. Well, Zach, I want to say thank you for joining Your Superior Self and helping my audience.
I hope everyone gets some value out of this, whether it's real estate or personal development or whatever they so need from this podcast.
I want to say thank you to Zach Beach for joining the show today. Make sure you guys go check him out at Smart Real Estate Investor Coach. He is doing big things up there in Rhode Island, and I know that I appreciate him coming on the show and hanging out and sharing some of his knowledge with my audience today. Make sure you guys look into getting yourselves a mentor or a business coach. They can really help you turn around your business or even your life if you need some help in certain areas that you're not sure on how to get help in. Make sure you guys check me out at yoursuperiorself.com. Leave me a comment, leave me an email, whatever you guys want to do. I'm here for you. All right, guys, have a great week, and I will talk to you later.